Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on. Straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right. Everything is tight. But somehow
Live from Philadelphia, San Diego, and the interwebs, it is the Teebs and KidPhoenix versus podcast. Teebs, how you doing on this fine Tuesday night we're recording?
I am doing well. I've just had a cheeseburger, and
was that made with ground turkey, or because I know you have the
okay. Way to kill the
blood
bit.
pressure.
Nice work.
The blood pressure
nice work
and
killing the bit. The bit is dead. It's okay.
Well,
the bit is dead now. The bit is dead. It's dead now. It's okay.
That was my intention. It's like, I like to keep you on your toes. I like to throw you off your game right away. I would also like to point out that you've started quite positively these last couple of podcasts. You're not as doom and gloom as you were in, say, like early December.
Well, here's the thing. I've been listening to a lot of George Carlin, and
here it comes.
He's really helped me out, helped me set it straight, and I encourage you to listen to especially "Life is Worth Losing." That's a good one to listen to get you through this period.
That's a good album. I mean, all Carlin is good, but specifically that one. That one's high class.
Speaking of Carlin, guess who was the first ever host of Saturday Night Live?
I'm guessing that was our boy George Franklin Carlin. I don't know if his middle name is actually Franklin. I'm just throwing a shot in the dark here.
George Washington Carlin. That is correct.
We are talking about Saturday Night Live. Over the weekend, they celebrated their 50th anniversary, and it was an amazing weekend performance. It spanned over 2 days. There was just straight up musical numbers like the whole night. I believe that was on Saturday, and then it was a straight up live show on Sunday, which was awesome. Yep. I watched at least half of both of them just because, I'm 44. I don't really stay up like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember some of my best Saturday night memories came from just like being able to finally stay up and find out what this whole Saturday Night Live thing was all about. When I was really into it, it was the early mid-90s, so this would have been like the Chris Rock, Michael Myers kind of era. So I enjoyed that comedy very much, and when the movie started coming out and Adam Sandler started making movies and Chris Rock started doing stuff outside of Pookie and New Jack City, I enjoyed it. It was good.
If you're going to be putting Chris Rock into anything, I have to... Okay. So a lot of
go
love
ahead.
for Chris Rock.
Finish your thought. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
No, listen. If we get to it, if it comes up during the broadcast, I will mention it.
I can't believe you're shitting on Chris Rock during Black History Month. How dare you?
I'm not shitting on Chris Rock, but
I
might have something to say if his name should come up during this exercise.
So this is the exercise, but before we do that real quick, Tees, what are some of your more not famous, but favorite moments of being an SNL watcher? I'm sure you haven't watched in years, decades even, maybe.
I remember the Eddie Murphy era when SNL was appointment television. You had to be watching it. Then kind of waning for a while, but storming back in cultural significance in the early 90s. Definitely being a cultural touchstone during the 2008 election. And yeah, so Saturday Night Live has been a big part of my life. And I think right now it's in an okay spot. I do have some issues with the way things are being done over there at the moment, but I'm going to continue to watch it and enjoy it.
Can I reach back to a point you just made about political commentary? I don't remember it being as political a machine, quote unquote, as in its infancy. And I'm wondering if, shows like The Daily Show or anything gave Saturday Night Live, it kind of pushed them in that direction to maybe lean into it a little bit more. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Politics has always been part of Saturday Night Live. I mean, don't forget, you had Chevy Chase impersonating Gerald Ford in 75 and 76.
76, yeah.
You had famously Dana Carvey impersonating George Bush Sr.,
Right.
Will Ferrell impersonating George Bush Jr., Daryl Hammond impersonating Bill Clinton. I mean, so it's always been a part of this Saturday Night Live thing,
That's fair. And here's our exercise for the podcast for this evening. What we're going to do, there has been a litany of Saturday Night Live cast members throughout 50 years. So what we're going to do on this podcast, we have a 6-person team of cast members that we are going to come up with. I have a team
Point of order.
already.
I know we
didn't
said
even
6,
explain the whole thing.
but going through my list, I think we should add a 7th position, just so
Okay.
that.
Can we let's go through the original 6 that we agreed upon, and you may need to help me out with some of the definitions so that
No, listen. We can start going through, and I will explain the positions as we go. But here are the positions, just in case you want to try to keep score at home. And before we get into any explanations, any complicated explanations, the positions are.
You just want to jot it down.
The positions are straight man,
person,
straight person, wild person.
Yes.
The hot chick, the plain Jane,
yes.
the black guy. You need a weekend update host and a musical guest. And now I'm suggesting we add an auxiliary role just because there are so many people, and I'd like to be able to include at least one more role.
I'm not against that. So auxiliary can be pretty much anything?
Anything.
Okay. All right. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. I'll throw in one of my auxiliaries in as my 7th, just in case.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there are going to be some names that may be duplicated, because there's so many, and Teebs and I kind of have our favorites, right? So what's going to happen is...
Actually, I didn't pick favorites. I picked a very cohesive
so you went for chemistry.
That I think would put on a fantastic show that I would like to watch.
Oh, shit. All right. I think I did this all wrong then. God damn. All right. Well, we're just going to roll with it. If you
picked your favorites, that's fine. I just thought that listen.
Teebs made this a team building exercise.
Yeah. What I know about Saturday Night Live is you need all the pieces to work together. Much like The Wire, all the pieces matter. Yeah. So you can, let's say you put Eddie Murphy and Chris Farley and Belushi and all those guys on one cast. That would never work. That would never ever work.
That's way too much. That is incredible. That's too much wildness. That's too much. Who's keeping that group under control?
No one. And that's why you need somebody. You need a Chris Farley. You also need a David Spade. You need somebody to balance it out. You need that.
You need somebody to keep them in line.
Exactly. Not to keep them in line, but just to keep everything grounded so it doesn't get too out of control and just too ridiculous.
All right. I don't think I am completely off the rails then. So
No, that's fine.
if there are duplicates, what's going to happen is we're going to have a possession arrow. So we're going to start with Teebs having the possession arrow.
Okay.
So if there is a duplicate, he gets the first duplicate, and then the possession arrow goes to me, and then I get the next duplicate. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. So
Okay.
I start with the possession arrow.
You
All right.
start with the possession arrow.
First possession. Okay. So first we're gonna my straight man.
Yeah, write down the list. Write down the list in order.
So first, let me explain what I mean by straight person. The
There you go.
straight
Okay.
person or the straight man is just like somebody to play the comedy off of. Usually, this actor will be like if there's a dad or a mom or just somebody that's just supposed to represent the general public. This person will be that person for the wild person to react to what the wild person is doing in the way that the normal human would.
Perfect definition.
It's a very important role. This character needs this actor or this performer needs to be able to be believable as just someone, just a regular person, and also has to be funny enough to work off the wild person's cues and make that balance happen. So
yeah,
for
you can't be sitting out here with if like Chris Farley is doing his thing, you can't just be like, oh, this is just not funny at all, or like this is weird. I can't be on the same set as this person. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Okay.
That's why you need your straight person.
So my straight person. There were a lot of choices that I could make. I could pick Dan Aykroyd here. Jason Sudeikis would have been a good pick.
Jason Sudeikis, very good straight. Very good straight man, Jason Sudeikis.
I'm going with Dana Carvey.
Dana Carvey. Okay,
yeah.
So Dana Carvey was my auxiliary.
Mm-hmm.
So why Dana Carvey for you?
I think Dana Carvey proved that he could work with a varying degree of different types of people. He could play off Mike Myers in Wayne's World. He could do his own thing if he had to be the church lady and pick up the ball and carry the show.
Right.
I think he just exemplified like the full range of what an SNL performer can have and can do, and just funny. His movies not so great, but when he's on SNL, it's great.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think that Dana Carvey is a very good choice. And I think that your strategy of who worked with the most crazy people on set. I mean, and who worked with the most wild people on set. And I think Dana Carvey was one of the ones, like you said, he had to deal with Chris Farley, and I think Will Ferrell was in there too. Mike Myers.
Will Ferrell's in there. Like he worked with a number of different people, a number of different wild performers, and he was able to successfully straight them all. So that's why he's my guy in this role.
I also had a couple of choices here. I had Dana Carvey as somebody I was thinking about. I think the ultimate straight man is probably Phil Hartman.
Hartman is a great pick. Great pick.
Phil Hartman is the ultimate SNL straight man, but I went a different route. I went with Tina Fey.
So that's a way to go.
Tina Fey, doing the Weekend Update, so she had to do all. So Amy Poehler would often like do her own thing and do the crazy wild shit, or Jimmy Fallon would do the crazy wild shit. But then Tina Fey would come back and just kind of ground everything and get things back on track. But then also, Tina Fey just looks like half the mothers I've met in my entire life.
Okay. I don't know if that's a compliment or what, but I don't know how a person is supposed to take that. But
She she can carry her own impressions and characters. So the Misty Peppers character always gets me. Her impression of Sarah Palin was absolutely incredible for that decade plus that she did it. And even
Mhm.
when she comes back, they still get her to do the Sarah Palin stuff, and she's still doing Weekend Update stuff. And even with Colin Jost and Michael Che on the desk, they're both doing crazy stuff. And Tina Fey is just like mom, just like hanging out and just kind of just saying, "Hey, you need to get your shit together real quick. We got to finish this thing." Tina
All right,
Fey,
yeah,
straight person.
okay. So possession arrow goes to you. You get the first pick on the wild man.
No. It's not. It's not. It's not possession. As far as the possession arrow only has to do
Yeah,
with
I know, I know, I
duplicates.
know, I know. It's duplicates, but it's your ball.
All right, so it's my ball.
Yeah.
Teebs has put in the basket. I'm inbounding. Wild person. I mean, there's no other place I could go than Chris Farley. Chris Farley was my wild person. He was the Chippendales guy. Um, oh my god, the
Okay.
just he Chris Farley is like John Belushi turned up to like 30 when you talk
All
about
right.
wild characters. Chris Farley is like above, and there's the line, there's John Belushi, and then like 30 yards down past that line is Chris Farley.
Okay. So it's a fine pick. I thought you would go Eddie Murphy here. Um, so that's going to make one of these categories really tight. Uh,
I
the only problem I have with Chris Farley is he kind of only can do Chris Farley thing.
I mean, is that necessarily a bad thing?
Not a bad thing, but Belushi had a lot of range, and
Belushi did have a lot of range.
my wild person pick has a ridiculous amount of range.
I mean,
And
as the update correspondent Bennett Brower, like absolutely amazing. Uh, Matt Foley is iconic. The Dante sketch with him and David Spade, or the Gap Girls with David Spade and Adam Sandler. Anytime they do the Bears super fans, like
okay, listen, that's your pick. I respect it. You can stand by it. My wild card is Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell's my auxiliary. Like there's really only I. So I feel there are really two on this list. There's Chris Farley, there's Will Ferrell, and then that's tier one.
You don't think that Eddie Murphy and John Belushi are tier one wild cards?
Um, I think it's a different. I feel
Okay,
like they were.
sorry. I think part of the problem is I haven't sufficiently defined what a wild card is. All right. So a wild card is someone who is just exploding with creative and comedic energy to such an extent that they will just take over if you let them, right?
Right.
So like
If you
um
ISO Chris Farley in a skit, you're
right,
just letting Chris Farley or
right.
Will Ferrell go.
Like if you basically if you had no one else and you just had to throw this person out there
Yes.
to fill an hour and a half of comedy, they could easily handle it. Easily, no problem. Okay.
And that definitely fits with Chris Farley, Will Ferrell. That definitely fits with Eddie Murphy. That totally fits with um, John Belushi. Is Chevy Chase another one you would throw in there?
No, I think Chevy Chase is a straight person.
Okay.
Is a straight. And now let me tell you why I went with Will Ferrell.
All
Will
right. Yeah.
Ferrell.
Yeah. Your Will Ferrell explanation.
Because not only is he a comedic fireball, but he can also morph and play straight if you need him to. He played
Yeah.
straight in all those Jeopardy roles to Daryl Hammond. He's a great straight if you need him to be. And like I just like the idea that I have a wild card that can play multiple roles. That's what I was saying. With Chris Farley, it's tough for him to do like he can't really do a lot of multiple things along with some of the other straights that we mentioned. Wiles that we mentioned, Belushi was able to do some of that stuff, but like when I think of a versatile Wild, it's
Will Ferrell's
Will
probably
Ferrell for
one.
me.
Will Ferrell's probably one of one in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I can't knock it. I can't knock it so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's
All
like,
right.
You're inbounding.
All right, my inbound. All right, so next position is the hot chick. Now,
This
they
is a
don't
very
necessarily mean
these are very subjective
right.
definitions.
But if you have a sketch where there's a woman that has to be portrayed as attractive or like the object of desire, this is typically the performer that would play that role. Some famous hots include like Jan Hooks,
Jan
Molly
Hooks.
Shannon. Um, my pick for hot is Kristen Wiig. Um,
I didn't even think of her, but go ahead.
yeah. So Kristen Wiig again, she has a lot of wild energy. She can play
Yeah.
straight if she has to. I think she would play well with Will Ferrell and Dana Carvey. I just think that she's bringing a lot to the table in that role, and yeah, that's why I went with Wig.
I'm not against that pick. I've seen Kristen Wiig in like all done up and everything, and I can't disagree there. I don't have too much to add just because it's a solid pick, and there's just something that needs to be said about somebody that can play like a Drew Barrymore or like a Jennifer Tilly, a Jessica
Mm-hmm.
Simpson, and then also have like a Liza Minnelli or a Lana Del Rey or a Taylor Swift. Like Chris Wiig has done all of those,
Right.
so I can't say that's necessarily a bad pick. I went a little bit of different route, and you can again subjective, but this cast member has done Beyonce, she's done Christina Aguilera, she's done Tina Turner and Whitney Houston, and two vice presidents. I'm going with Maya Rudolph.
That's a good one. Maya Rudolph's a good pick there. She's kind of the prototypical hot, you know,
Yeah.
prototypical size, prototypical speed.
Like if you're building like the prototypical hot for SNL, it's either Kristen Wiig or Maya Rudolph. It's one of those two.
yes, absolutely.
Oh, can we go back to one can we go back to the wild category really briefly, or we can
Yeah,
save it at the
yeah, yeah,
end,
yeah.
but
Of course.
Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones does work as a wild, but no, Leslie Jones could totally work as a wild. That's fine.
Okay. I was just wondering because I wasn't sure where to put her. Like
Yeah.
I don't think she can play straight.
Well, she might work in the next category.
The next category, I flipped. I flipped here, and I honestly don't know if you know who this person is, but we're gonna give it a shot. Plain Jane again is just like, it's like she's
So,
not
so
she's
basically,
not
if somebody has right,
she's not ugly, but
right,
she's I don't
plain.
even want to say the word normal. I don't know how to phrase this
If
without
somebody
being
has to play a
offensive.
mom, if somebody's just playing like the neighbor or like the friend, like somebody who's like not being portrayed as the hot, basically, um, who typically doesn't get played as the hot. So good examples: Jane Curtin,
Jane
Amy
Curtin.
Poehler. Um, so who did you pick in this role?
I flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I had this person as my auxiliary. I had Heidi Gardner in my primary,
It's a
but
good pick.
I'm flipping this for my plane. I'm doing Anna Gasteyer.
Anna Gasteyer is a good pick here. Um,
Her Martha Stewart, like you could use her Martha Stewart and just basically like run that anytime you need like a mom figure.
that's true. That's true.
And she worked really well with people like Rachel Dratch and Chris Kattan, and she and Chris Parnell also had like some pretty nice skits in there, as well as like a middle aged kind of husband and wife kind of deal.
Right. So I'm torn between two cast members here, and I think for the culture, I'm going to go with Ego Nwodum. Um,
Nice pull.
because she does do a lot of that stuff. She's really excelled in this role, and kind of not the super hot role, but like the judgmental aunt or like
Yeah.
the she has a lot of characters that fill in this position. So like I'm gonna go with Ego Nwodim here.
That's not bad. I thought about her too, but I had Heidi Gardner and Anna Gasteyer just like slightly above her, so I'm glad she got flowers, to be perfectly
Mm-hmm.
honest. All right, who's inbounding?
Um so you took who did you take in plane? You took Anna Gasteyer.
Yeah,
I took
so
Ego Nwodim.
you're
So it's
you're
my
inbounding.
ball.
You're inbounding, yes. Just go ahead and take him. Just go ahead and take him. Jesus
I
Christ.
mean, look, I gotta take Eddie Murphy here at the.
Yeah.
Listen, so the black guy is, of course, the black guy or the
I mean,
black
this is
performer
very
or the performer of
self-explanatory.
color. Yes.
Very self-explanatory.
We're going with some great black guys include Garrett Morris, Tim
Garrett
Meadows.
Garrett Morris.
I think I don't want to say any of the others because I think Adio may pick one of them, but
I mean, come on.
yeah.
Why would I do that?
Kenan Thompson.
Keenan Thompson. Shout out to Keenan Thompson. Just
Getting those
grinding for
checks,
like just
grinding it out.
she's been there what, 15 years, I think?
I can't even remember.
So Keenan Thompson has been a cast member since 2003.
That
He's been
is 22 years.
Keenan. Keep getting them checks.
Keep getting them checks.
Holy hell. I like, do we really need to what else do we need to say about Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live that we haven't said already?
Carried the show after the first cast went away. Literally carried the show until literally was the only reason to watch for like 2 years.
While doing Beverly Hills Cop and 48 Hours and every other freaking
Trading
movie he was
places
doing.
and was like 19 while all this was happening.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
All right, hot take. Is Eddie Murphy the best SNL cast member in the history of the show?
Here's the thing. It depends on what you were looking for from an SNL cast member.
Okay.
are you looking for somebody that can fill multiple roles, as we've discussed here, or are you just looking for someone to put asses in the seats on a consistent basis?
Right.
I think. So again, it's kind of like the Jordan versus LeBron argument. Do you want
Sorry,
somebody?
the jock is in the room, fellas.
Do
Everybody,
you
sorry.
want somebody who has unparalleled individual fortitude and will and ability, or do you want somebody who is capable of making everyone around them better and elevating the performance of everyone around them? So I say I would want someone that elevates everyone around them. So in my mind, no, Eddie Murphy is not the greatest performer ever.
So
Um,
if Eddie's Jordan, if
yeah,
Eddie's Michael Jordan in this scenario, who would be the perfect Magic? Who's
in
the
my
perfect
opinion,
distributor?
it's Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell might be the greatest SNL cast member of all time.
Yeah, plays multiple roles. He can do straight. He can do wild. He distributes. He can he can elevate a
He can
he can
impersonate a
elevate
president if you need him to.
he okay. So Will Ferrell definitely has the ability to like elevate a bland sketch when
Right. He
there's
can
no
save a
need.
dying
He
sketch.
can
Yes,
save a
absolutely.
dying sketch.
But with Eddie Murphy, the
Eddie can
sketch
do
would
that.
never be dying. The sketch
Eddie
would
could do
never
that
be dying.
too. Eddie could do that too, but one, the sketch would never be dying, and two, if the sketch is dying, like you said, it's probably from Eddie's own doing, and Eddie can still like somehow pick the ball up and just say, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna cut baseline this way. I'm gonna try something different. Like you're ISOing Eddie.
Mhm. And just remember, Will Ferrell worked with Dana Carvey, Mike Myers. He worked with Kristen Wiig. He worked with a whole bevy of other performers. Um, Name one other performer during Eddie Murphy's era. And this is not to say that
It's not to
this
say
is not
those. Yeah,
this is not to say that they were bad performers. I mean, or that they were mediocre performers. Because I mean, admittedly, some of them were. But aside from Joe Piscopo, there wasn't really anybody on Eddie's level, and he didn't
no.
really make anyone better, or at least drag anyone to the point of recognition on that show. So, meanwhile, most people only know who Daryl Hammond is because of Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Piscopo. I I guess maybe Gilbert Godfrey. Like that's the only other big name that comes to mind.
Right, but Gilbert Gottfried wasn't really the Gilbert Gottfried we know when he was on SNL.
Right. Okay, that's fair. All right. I so because I have Chris Farley and because we're going with a we kind of have this is now a team building exercise for chemistry purposes. Originally I had Tracy Morgan here, but there's no way I can have Tracy
Wait a
Morgan.
minute.
I
Okay,
can't have
but
Tracy Morgan and Chris Farley on the same cast. I can't.
you have Tina Fey.
But I do have Tina Fey. So I guess that's the ultimate question. Is Tina Fey a strong enough straight to kind of keep the car on the road when Chris Farley and Tracy Morgan are driving?
You've got Anna Goss too, so I think it could work.
I do have Anna Gasteyer too. So yeah, I'm gonna take Tracy Morgan. I'm gonna take Tracy Morgan here.
Take Tracy Morgan in.
The only other person that I thought of was Tim Meadows, who was mentioned.
Right, right.
Like
Um,
Tracy Morgan, what can I? And also, Tracy and Tina have chemistry already with 30 Rock, so that
mhm.
helps. One of my favorite Tracy Morgan bits. Anytime he does Steve Harvey, anytime he did Marion Barry, uh, there was one skit where he was Aunt and Uncle Jemima. Just oh my god, fucking amazing. Joe Jackson, he's done Busta Rhymes, Bobby Brown. He did Al Sharpton for a hot second. Like Tracy can do a lot of things if you need an African American to, play something silly. Or, he does have, I'm not saying he could do it on a consistent basis, but couldn't Tracy Morgan do straight for like half a skit?
He did it during the 50th for Black Jeopardy. But I don't. But do you want him playing straight though? Like, are you? It's like.
Am I desperate? Am I really that desperate for him to play straight? Yeah.
It's like telling Jordan go out there and shoot a bunch of jumpers. Like, don't drive.
Don't drive. Don't jump. Don't dunk. We just want mid-range jumpers all night. That's all. But Tracy Morgan, probably one of my, like, after Eddie really stopped doing stand-up, I kind of gravitated toward Tracy Morgan's outlandish brand of comedy for whatever reason. When I was a teenager, I was into that kind of comedy. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, not all of us could grow up with, George Carlin and freaking Sam Kinison. Who's inbound? I think I'm inbounding.
This is your ball.
All right.
So you have weekend update host, which should be self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory. He's the weekend. This person is the weekend update anchor. So Tina Fey is already off the board, so it doesn't really matter, because if Tina Fey is taken here, we didn't even discuss that rule. Like, if you take Tina Fey, do you have to take Amy Poehler here as well?
You can pick teams. You can pick teams here, but you already got Fey, so you can't pick them again, and I can't pick them either because I thought it was only one.
You thought Fey was going to make it this far?
No, I thought you could only pick one person for either team. So, like, once Faye's picked, she can't be picked again.
All right, done. Not that it matters for me, because my weekend update person is Norm Macdonald.
Son of a bitch.
Norm Macdonald is, period, point blank, the best weekend update anchor. Period, end of discussion. So not only could he deliver the serious news in a funny way, but I like my weekend update person to carry a bit for years, right? The Norm Macdonald OJ bit just kept going and going and going, and every time it was freaking hilarious. Anytime he would talk about the OJ trial, it was just gold. There's a 30-minute YouTube of just Norm Macdonald OJ jokes. That's all it is, and it's absolutely incredible. One of my favorites being, this week it was revealed that in his first interview with police, Simpson had refused to take a lie detector test. His reason? It detects lies.
Okay.
Norm's dry humor is just perfect for weekend update desk anchor. It's absolutely perfect. It is often duplicated. Never better done than when Norm was doing it. And that's saying a lot, because I really do like Colin Jost and Michael Che. But I got Norm Macdonald here. Sorry.
So I'm torn between two possibilities. I'm gonna go with Seth Meyers here.
Seth is the other. Seth is the auxiliary. I had Seth here too.
It was between Seth Meyers and Dennis Miller, and I think that Dennis Miller's comedy might not be for everyone.
Right.
But Seth Meyers knows how to keep update going. He knows how to. He knows how to make it. He knows what makes update work, basically, and he's a very,
Right.
very, very talented performer, good host, and also writer. So yeah, I'll take Seth Meyers, sure.
Seth Meyers, I don't. Seth Meyers is probably the best straight to do Weekend Update.
That's probably true.
Norm, Dennis Miller, they were a little bit wild.
They were performers, yeah, they were wild.
Tina Fey
Jost is straight.
So Jost and Shay are perfect because it's a straight and a wild
Right.
on the same desk. That's the only way that works.
Right.
Like some of the best pairings are a straight and a wild. So like Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, Jimmy Fallon.
But yeah, let's not forget the way he was able to incorporate the performances of a lot of other folks in to Weekend Update. I mean, with Cecily Strong.
Seth Meyers was definitely Magic Johnsoning the Weekend Update desk.
And who could forget Bill Hader playing Stefan?
Bill Hader and Stefan, yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Seth Meyers because I think you took Tina Fey, so
yeah. All right, so now
that's all right. You screwed me, so I'm gonna screw you here with musical guest.
No, let's do that seventh auxiliary.
Oh, I'm not okay. Well, no, see, because now it's my ball.
Damn
and
it!
You're gonna take the ball for musical guest.
All right. Go ahead. Musical guest.
For musical guest, I think there's only one choice here. If you want to have a good show, a funny show, right?
A good show.
Justin Timberlake. You need Justin Timberlake.
See, you went a different route. You went with a musical guest that you can put in skits.
I did.
I didn't go that route at all. But I definitely see where you're going with Timberlake. He's somebody that is not only a good musical guest, but he's also a pretty damn good comedian.
Funny, good in
very
sketches.
Funny, charismatic,
handsome. It's Timberlake.
See, I just went for good music, and we didn't necessarily stipulate they had to be living or dead, so I went Prince.
I mean, sure, you could go. I mean, nobody's going to argue with Prince, but
yeah, I mean, come on. Prince has done SNL twice, and he's rocked the house both times. My auxiliary was Beyonce. Just to throw that out there.
Your auxiliary musical guest was Beyonce.
Yes. Below Prince, though. Come on.
Okay, fine.
It's not like I'm out here putting Beyonce below I don't know. Just like take your pick and take your offensive pick there, whatever you want. But yeah, Prince, 100%. I'm gonna have my cast, and then we're gonna rock out to Prince, and then we're gonna call it a night.
Okay, fair enough. You do you.
All right. Take your auxiliary.
No, it's your ball now.
No, because is it?
I had the ball for Timberlake. It's your ball.
All right. For auxiliary, so not auxiliary, additional. I want to go with somebody that is really good by themselves. They can't carry a skit, but they can be the 1A to somebody's 1. Very rangy. This person can do straight, wild. I think this person can do 4 out of 5 categories here. So for my 7th, I'm going Cecily Strong.
So that is a fine pick, but I think
Cecily can do straight. I think she can do wild. Obviously, when you see her do her Janine Pirro impression, or her Megyn Kelly impression, but then she's also like, you can dress her up and she looks really, really fucking hot, number one. And then you can bust out in like mom jeans, and like she would work with that as well. Like Cecily's very rangy, and now that we have this auxiliary that I didn't plan for, I'm glad I could fit her in because Cecily Strong is one of my more favorite SNL cast members.
Funny, you should mention people that could come in and play any position because my aux is going to be one Bill Hader.
Bill
Um,
Hader's another. Bill
can
Hader's
also
another
play
great.
any position.
He
Can
can do
just come
anything you
in.
need.
Bill, we need you to vamp for like 45
Yeah.
minutes, no problem. Bill, we need you to be like the third guy in this sketch, but we also need you to contribute something, no problem. Like
Bill, we need you
Bill
to do.
Hader,
We need you to do Stefan for 3.5 minutes.
no problem.
No problem. All right. So I think were there any names that were left off that we probably look stupid for not taking?
Well, I don't know if we look stupid, but there's some eras that I think we left off. So there's that middle 80s, late 80s, early 90s era that was, I think, exemplified by John Lovitz. I think
Yeah.
Lovitz doesn't get enough love for being on there. You mentioned Hartman, and that was great.
No Sandler mentions.
I mean, the problem is Sandler was on a cast with Mike Myers and Dana Carvey
Right.
and Kevin Nealon and all these guys. And
It's
like,
really hard to.
why? I mean, that was my whole point that I was going to make about Chris Rock. Like, you have to take them for what they did while they were on there and while he was on SNL and he had some things like Opera Man and things like that. It wasn't the same as what he would become in his film roles. But
yeah, it's fair to say that Adam Sandler and Chris Rock got bigger after Saturday Night Live. Because
exactly.
not to say they were bad on SNL. It's just that the heavy hitters of that cast, you really just can't break the ceiling, so to speak. Like you have to have some exemplary skits to break through the wall that, you know, the Dana Carveys, the Will Ferrells, the Chris Farleys, like they're doing all kinds of wild, crazy shit. So it's hard for like an Adam Sandler or like a Chris Rock to really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, they did definitely have moments where they stood out, but it's just like that those casts were so deep, like that. It's just hard to like really make a name for yourself there when you got Mike Myers doing Wayne's World. I mean,
yeah, and we've talked about him a couple times. He's been mentioned, but neither of us have Mike Myers on our cast.
And again, it's just because Mike Myers was great during his time, but I think eventually he would be eclipsed by better performers. Mike Myers is great and he's definitely top 5, but we only have so many positions, you know?
You're right. Let me think. Tim Meadows, I feel like needs to get some flowers a little bit. Tim Meadows was a great African American straight. I hadn't seen
Tim
that
Meadows invented getting them checks, so
ever.
kudos to you.
Let's see. So Kate McKinnon also not mentioned.
Kate McKinnon not mentioned, but also a tremendous wild card performer.
Incredible wild card. It's just that there
Andy
are
Samberg not mentioned.
Samberg.
Um,
And again, that's not to say that like, listen, Kate McKinnon, great performer, but again, it's like she is like her cast was kind of loaded.
exactly.
So
Kate McKinnon was kind of holding it down though for a while.
she really was.
Yeah.
She was
And that's
that
kind
that
of
that Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing was holding SNL
right.
down for a while.
So that's kind of going to bring me to my point about my issue with currently what's going down with SNL. There's not real. The problem is updates the best thing, and that's not good. I don't
Yeah,
think for your show long term. You need there to be other stuff to generate buzz besides update or your political stuff, you know.
I was gonna say, I was actually wondering, like, is SNL, are they kind of leaning on whoever the host is a little bit too much?
I don't think they're leaning on the host a lot. But
I
a
in
bad
the
host,
sense that it's just like, if it's not really a popular host that's gonna get you a whole lot of like social media cachet, like, who's really gonna watch? You know what I mean?
it's not
That's what I
it's
was
not even
thinking.
it's not even so much about social media cachet. You just need a host that's going to be you need a host that understands the job and what they need to be doing. Like if it's Chalamet or if it's like
Yeah,
who else is really good right now? Or Scarlett Johansson or somebody like that. Somebody that understands what they're supposed to do, then it's good. If you have a host up there that's like not really like great at being comedic or anything like
right.
that, like it's kind of tougher. So I would I would say yes, that the host does play more of a role, and that is a problem because I think the performers of Saturday Night Live should be the showcase of Saturday Night Live.
And I also wonder if that has something to do with, like, because we talk about Seth Meyers and we talk about Colin Jost and Michael Shea, but they're also like the big head writers. And I don't want to say that they're focusing too much on the update and not necessarily the skits around it, but to your point, it does kind of feel that way some episodes.
I do think that um when but yeah, see, that's the other thing. Faye was head writer when she was on Weekend Update. And I
Right.
think that's part of the problem is that and Seth Meyers was head writer when he was on Update. So I think the problem is you can't have the head writer be at not Update Desk can be one of the writers. I just don't know about head writers because they're going to give themselves all the best jokes. They're going to give themselves all the best stuff. So
Right.
like let's maybe think about who's writing stuff and like who we want to put on and like where we want the most important stuff to be in the broadcast.
I think it might not be a bad idea, and like I don't know if he would actually do it. I would bring in like John Mulaney, for example, and just be like, listen,
He
you're
was
the
a writer. He was a writer on SNL.
he was a writer for 5 years. But what I'm saying is, okay, Colin and Shay, you're the writers for like Update. John, we need you to be the head writer for everything else.
See, I don't know that
Kind of
that's
split it up that
necessarily.
way.
I don't know if that's necessarily the way to go. What I think the way to go is to just not have the head writer be to just
Your update
not have the
person.
head writer be on the update desk. Yeah, I think.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, give some of these other people like a shot. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
there might be some cast members that can like really get the job done. So we'll just see what
exactly.
happens as Saturday Night Live keeps going past season 50. This is a podcast where we're hoping to get to season 50, and we're doing this when we're in our 90s. That would be fun, right?
Yeah, I don't know that would be fun. I don't
Maybe not. Maybe
necessarily
not.
know that I want that. No, I'm gonna say no to that.
We may not go for 50 years, but we will go for at least one more week. So
Yes, definitely.
until next week, like, follow, subscribe to the podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. Check the description for all the links. We are going to get out of here. That's it. That's it. That's the podcast. That's all we're doing this week.
Go watch some Saturday Night Live.
Go watch some Saturday Night Live. We're out of here. Teebs and KidPhoenix. We're done.